What's up, everyone? Jason Gubbo here with Chris Etherington, taking a look at the Valero Texas Open. Um, this week, kind of dealing with a similar week last week where we don't have any real, studs to pay up for, but they kind of made some studs in terms of pricing.
Right, exactly. With Kuchar being at the top again this week, they have more guys than normal above 10,000. It's going to make it a little tougher for you to pick a couple guys that you like at the top. But with that being said, there's actually really nice value below the $7,000 mark, and it makes it for a nice stars and scrubs type of lineup for this week.
Yeah, we were joking around, stars and scrubs, but without the true stars.
Yeah, I mean, when you're paying Matt Kuchar at 11.5, that's basically your top dog for this week, and he's not like he's a top 20 machine as of right now, but at 11.5, you kind of want to pick that person to win, like a Dustin Johnson or a McIlroy type of player, but it is what it is for this week.
Yeah, and he looks like, really the heavy favorite in terms of Vegas coming in. And then we kind of move down the list. Brooks Koepka, Charlie Hoffman, Jimmy Walker, Ryan Moore, Brendan Grace, all over 10K. A lot of guys over 10K this week for a tournament that doesn't really feature a ton of huge names.
Yeah, it's a little strange this week. I'm not sure what it is, but for me personally, I think I'm just going to go to Moore and go on my way. With more stats, he's the most consistent guy at the top. He's 40th for birdie or better percentage, and he's 22nd for par 5 scoring. Those two stats are my main stats that I'm looking for this week, and he's definitely one of the best players in the field for this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think in terms of a pay-up option, I'm looking the same way. Basically, as we talked, there's stars and scrubs, so you can fit a couple of these guys in. I know Brendan Steele's another guy that you like right there in that same price range.
Yeah, same as Moore. Steele's is really on form with his stats. With the par 5 scoring, he's 12th, and with birdie or better percentage, he's 26th. He's also hanging screens a lot, and he's one of the best in the field for this week. He's ranked 24th. He's had a little break recently where he's only played the Masters in his 6 weeks span that I like to look at. He finished 27th at the Masters. And like I said, he's had a little time in between as basically a time off, basically just resting up. I guess he played a lot going up to the World Golf Championship match play, and then after that, he just wanted a break from the game. So with that, and after the Masters, I think he's a fine play for both cash and tournaments for this week.
Moving down, I kind of glanced over. I was looking through. Patrick Reed, you and I were looking at, definitely not a guy that we're eyeing this week, just because one, his form's been awful this year. I can't get myself to really pay for Chappell at 94, Zach Johnson 93. Hadwin's probably the usually we get him at a little bit cheaper price, but I think because he's been so consistent, I don't mind if I'm using a 9K guy. I don't mind using him next to Steele.
Yeah, this week's definitely, again, one of those weeks where you kind of have to not look at the price on some of these guys. You're just going to have to pay up for some of them. Hadwin at 9,100. Yeah, it's a little steep, but he's the guy that shot at 59 earlier this year. He has won the Feldspar, and he's been on form for the first part of the year. First half of the year. I think, like you said, with Steele and Hadwin, I think those two guys in the 9K range are a fine start for like a cash lineup for this week.
In terms of the 8K range, I mean, we have guys like Luke Donald, Horschel, Ryan Palmer, but Tony Finau is a guy that you wrote up at 8,400. We like a lot.
Yeah, Finau is really interesting for this week. I think he's going to be the dark horse for this week. If you look at all the stats that I'm looking at, he's in the top 20 in the field for all 5 stats that I'm looking at for this week. For greens and regulation, he's 7th. For par 5 scoring, he's 30th. For birdie or better, he's 28th. I mean, the guy's been on form. He finished 5th a few weeks ago, and he hasn't missed a cut in a while. So at 8,400, I think I'm not too sure what his ownership is going to be, but I think Finau is a fine tournament play for this week. I think he should do well.
A really nice price tag on him, and I think out of the guys in that range, he's probably the guy that I'm on the most, and I'm with you because, one, I mean, you got Kevin Na right there, Ryan Palmer. I mean, Palmer, I guess I could see as being a decent option if you're looking to make a move. I mean, a couple top tens here over the last few years.
Yeah, Palmer at 86 is one of those players, kind of like Patrick Reed, where that's just way too much for him. But I mean, when you look at Palmer's course history, 2 top tens in his last 2 years, and he finished 15th back in 2013. So, with that being said, and with the 11th place finish last week, yeah, he could be a fine tournament play, but for me personally, he's just a little too expensive for my liking.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a risky play at his price because usually what do we get him? I mean, lower 8s, high 7s.
Yeah, sometimes cheaper than that. I do remember paying him less than 7,500 a few times earlier this year. So for him to be at 86, it's just way too much. I just don't see him continuing this week, and I'm just going to fade him for the week.
Moving down the list, I mean, Vegas is a guy that intrigues me because he's been playing so well this year. I mean, miscut the Masters. One, he doesn't have a good course history here either. We kind of get into this range. I mean, I feel like we talked a lot about these guys like Poulter, Spahn, Varner before the show started. But I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a jumble here.
Yeah, this is when you just sort of go down the list and just cross off the guys that you just don't want to play for the week. For Vegas, I kind of like him because he's been more consistently playing well than most of these guys. I mean, when you look at his greens hit regulation, he's 30th. And, yeah, he's better than most of these guys around him with that stat alone. So I really like Vegas at 81. And for like a first round type of bet on Harold Farner, he's been on top of the leaderboard after the first round a few times this season already. And his stats are basically about average for the stats that I'm looking at. And then he's made his last 4 cuts in a row. So I think at 7,800 for Farner is a really nice pivot from the other guys around him.
Yeah, I like Varner. I mean, another guy I like is JJ Spawn. I mean, coming off a 6th place finish at the Heritage, greens and regulation above 70%. I mean, he's been pretty consistent this year, and scoring. He has the upside too. Only missed cuts of Valspar and Pebble Beach, which, I mean, Pebble Beach, I think that was the bad weather weekend. It wasn't anything, that's one I kind of chalk out and don't worry about.
Yes, stuff like that, you just sort of just throw it away, don't even look at it. But with a good finish last week with Spawn. He's actually becoming one of the better rookies for this season. The only thing he hasn't done yet is a win. So I think if he actually wins, this season, he could be in the running for the Rookie of the Year. He's just been that consistent, playing that well so far this year. I'm going to be playing him a lot for the rest of the season. I really like the guy, and I think, like you said, he has tons of upside for being here at 7,800.
As far as other guys in the range, I mean, Graham McDonald's probably an intriguing cash game option for me. He's just always that guy who's going to probably get you about a top 30. You know what you're going to get out of him. His only missed cut came at Puerto Rico. Decent price for him. I mean, I think in terms of him, he's probably the cash game guy, while maybe the others in the range that we haven't talked about yet are more GPP options.
Yeah, I think Graham is coming into form this year, where as last year or towards the end of last year, he was kind of falling off the face of the earth a little bit. But like you said, with a decent finish last week, and then he actually, I mean, if you look at his course history, I mean, with a withdrawal a couple years ago, that's going to scare some people off a little bit. But I think with his consistent play so far this season, I think at 7,700, I think he's going to be a fine cash play and tournament as well.
Moving through here, I mean, anyone else who want to talk about in that 7K range? I mean, I know we have a couple of guys below 7K we can talk about too.
Yeah, I kind of like Luke List a little bit. He's going to be your scoring golfer. He's 10th in birdie or better percentage. He's third for par 5 scoring. Yeah, he missed a cut last week, but before that, I mean, there was a third a couple of weeks ago, top 20 before that. So he is getting into form with a couple of stats that are really up there in the field. I think List is going to be a fine tournament play for this week.
Yep, List, I mean, reasonable price for him too. Moving down, List 6,900. I mean, I have some interest in JT Poston. I mean, he's another guy who's been pretty solid. No course history here, but I mean, only missed cut once again, back at the Farmers Insurance, then at Pebble Beach. Other than that, I mean, didn't have a good showing at the Houston Open, but has been pretty solid too.
Yeah, for him, making his last 3 cuts shows a lot of promise. 2 of those made cuts, he finished inside the top 15. So with that, and with ranking inside the top 15 for proximity to 175 to 200 range, I think at 6,900, if he makes a cut and if his putter gets hot, then that's going to get some really good upside for him to finish basically inside the top 20 for the week, perhaps the top 10. Not too many people are going to have him. He's probably going to be 3 to 5% owned, I'm going to guess. So you're going to a lot of people in tournaments if he plays well this week.
And I know a guy you wrote up here, Nick Taylor, 6,500.
Yeah, Taylor, another Canadian. He's been really solid so far this year. I mean, he's made his last 2 cuts. He had a good showing last week, finishing 22nd. He is 18th in par 5 scoring. All the other stats, he's basically average in the field. So if you look at his course history, I mean, he played her once last year and he finished 21st. If he does that again, being at 6,500, then I think that's really good value. And he has the upside to finish even higher than what he did last year. So I again, all the Canadians this year, not to be biased or anything, but all the Canadians are actually playing well. Obviously, Graham Dillette had a shot of winning last week, but I mean, with Hadwin playing well, Mackenzie Hughes, Nick Taylor is just another one of those guys that I really like to watch this year.
Yeah, they are playing really well, and I'm with you. I mean, if people don't know, you're Canadian guys, so
yeah. I have to mention a Canadian every week if they're playing, so it's just in my nature.
Hey, and with the way they're playing, it's definitely not a bad idea.
Exactly.
I mean, for the most part, we went over a little bit of lineup construction strategy at the beginning. It is builds out stars and scrubs. Yeah, and I think because just the way the podcast has gone, we didn't go a lot of the mid range. We kind of broke down a lot more than usual cheaper guys this week.
Yeah, I think that's how DraftKings is going to try and get people to do for this week, is to go more stars and scrubs. So for tournaments, if you want to be unique, maybe go a little bit more balanced, because no one's going to be doing that. No one's like, a lot of people are going to play at least one guy above 10,000, maybe one guy in the mid or high nines, and then pick a few guys below 7. But if you just maybe start your lineup with Steele and Hadwin and then balance your lineup that way, you're going to be unique doing it that way, and you might actually finish up high in the GPPs for this week.
Yes, I mean, given the fact, six 10K plus guys, it's not a must to go and grab one of them this week.
No, like, a lot of those guys don't win that often anyways. And for me personally, I rather pay someone that's over 10,000 that has the upside of actually winning for the week. With this type of field, anyone from Kuchar all the way to, say, Rory Sabatini down at 6,100 has a really good shot of winning this week. Is basically just pick your poison at the top and go from there.
Yeah, definitely a wide open week. You gave us your dark horse. I mean, anyone you think is going to pull off a win up top?
I think I'm just going to have to go with Ryan Moore as your winner for this week. He's been really solid coming into this week. So, yeah, I have to go with Moore.
Yeah, I definitely see Moore as being one of the better guys. I mean, one we talked about. This also could be a week. I mean, Hadwin might be able to pull through if we're going over 9K.
Yeah, for getting his second win of the season, that would be very possible, especially with this type of field for him.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap things up here. If you want to check out Chris's picks over on dailyfantasycafe.com, you can. And be sure to check out our great tools and content as well.